At some point in your life, someone convinced you that feeling everything deeply was a strength, that caring more would make you respected, that being open, honest, and emotionally available would make people value you. But look closely at your past. Every betrayal that stunned you, every insult that stayed in your mind for weeks, every person who learned exactly which words could reach inside your head and shake you. None of that happened by accident. It happened because you allowed the world to step inside your inner territory. Machiavelli never made that mistake. He studied people the way a strategist studies a battlefield, calm, detached, observing patterns instead of reacting to them, because he understood something brutal about human nature. The moment people discover what affects you, they discover how to control you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to shut that door permanently, how to make your emotions impossible to exploit, and how to build the kind of psychological distance that makes manipulation useless. If you want to understand the quiet power of becoming untouchable, subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay with me, because once you see the mechanism behind emotional control, you'll never see people the same way again. Now let's break down the first illusion that keeps you weak. Why do the smallest things still reach you? A careless remark, a delayed message, a subtle change in someone's tone, and suddenly your mind begins orbiting around it. You replay the moment, search for hidden meaning, wonder what you did wrong. Most people believe this is empathy or emotional intelligence, but in reality, it is something far more dangerous. It is access. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that being open makes you human, that caring deeply proves your character. But the world does not treat emotional openness as virtue. It treats it as information. And information, in any environment where power exists, becomes leverage. The uncomfortable truth Machiavelli understood centuries ago is that most human behavior is not driven by loyalty, kindness, or shared values. It is driven by advantage. People act according to incentives that often have nothing to do with how they feel about you. Status, convenience, security, reputation, opportunity. These are the invisible currencies guiding decisions in every room you enter. When someone praises you, there may be admiration behind it, but there may also be alignment, timing, or benefit. When someone dismisses you, it may feel personal, but often it is simply strategic positioning. Human interaction is not always emotional. Frequently it is transactional, whether people admit it or not. This is why so many people remain trapped in cycles of confusion. They interpret behavior emotionally when the behavior itself is strategic. Someone interrupts you in a conversation. Your instinct says disrespect, but their instinct may be status signaling. Someone ignores your message. You interpret rejection, but their intention may be psychological positioning. Someone exaggerates a story about you. You assume betrayal, but they may simply be protecting their own image in front of others. The action feels personal because it touches your identity. Yet the motive often lies somewhere else entirely. Now consider how most people respond when these moments happen. The reaction is immediate. They defend themselves. They explain their intentions. They correct the narrative. And in doing so, they unknowingly reveal the most valuable thing in any power dynamic, their emotional pressure points. The moment someone sees what disturbs your peace, they know exactly where influence lives. Imagine a simple moment in a meeting. A colleague casually questions your idea in front of others. The instinctive response sounds familiar. That's not what I meant. Let me clarify. You begin explaining, elaborating, proving your point. But the atmosphere of the room shifts. Not because your explanation is wrong, but because your position has moved from command to defense. Now imagine the alternative. The same comment is made. You pause. You continue your point without reacting to the challenge. No irritation, no rush to justify yourself. Just calm continuation. Something subtle happens in the room. Attention shifts away from the accusation and toward your composure. Because when you refuse to react emotionally, people lose the ability to read your internal state. And when they cannot read you, they cannot easily influence you. This is the first illusion you must dismantle if you want to become unaffected. The belief that every action directed toward you is about you. Often it is not. It is about positioning perception and advantage within the environment around you. Once you understand this, something powerful begins to happen. Insults lose their gravity. Silence from others stops feeling like rejection. Disrespect becomes information rather than injury. You stop absorbing behavior emotionally and begin observing it strategically. And when that shift happens, something else changes quietly inside you. You stop reacting to every move people make. You start seeing the pattern behind them. Because the moment you stop taking the game personally, you finally begin to see the game itself. Now, the next vulnerability is even more dangerous because it hides inside behaviors most people think are harmless. Explaining yourself, justifying your actions, revealing what hurts you so others will understand. These habits feel honest, even mature. But in environments where perception shapes power, they quietly dismantle your position. Every explanation is a signal. It tells people you feel pressure to be understood. It tells them their opinion has the authority to disturb your internal balance. And once that authority exists, influence follows. Most people underestimate how quickly others study emotional reactions, not consciously, not maliciously, but instinctively. Human beings are pattern detectors. The moment someone notices that a certain criticism irritates you or that a certain tone makes you defensive, they store that information. Sometimes they will never use it deliberately, but the option is now there, and options are the currency of control. This is why Machiavelli warned leaders to master appearance before emotion. A ruler who reveals every reaction becomes predictable, and predictability is the first step toward manipulation. If someone knows exactly how you will respond when challenged, they already control half the interaction. You think you are defending your integrity. In reality, you are giving away the script to your behavior. Consider a simple, everyday exchange. Someone says something dismissive about your work. The instinctive response is immediate correction. That's not accurate. Let me explain what actually happened. You begin filling the silence with reasons, context, justification. But watch what happens from the outside. The more you explain, the more the other person relaxes. They have already succeeded in shifting the dynamic. You are now proving your value instead of embodying it. Now imagine a different response. The same comment appears in the same room. Instead of defending, you pause. You continue the conversation without acknowledging the provocation. No irritation, no explanation, just quiet composure. Something subtle but powerful happens. The room becomes uncertain about how to interpret the moment, and uncertainty changes perception. When people cannot clearly measure your emotional reaction, they begin projecting their own assumptions onto you. Some assume confidence, others assume authority, but very few assume weakness. This is why silence can become a form of control. Not because silence is mysterious in itself, but because it removes the emotional signals others rely on to navigate social interactions. Most people broadcast those signals constantly. Their frustration, their insecurity, their need for recognition. The more signals you broadcast, the easier it becomes for others to steer the interaction. But when those signals disappear, people lose the feedback they depend on. Emotional discipline is not the absence of feeling. It is the refusal to display feeling in ways that surrender leverage. You still experience irritation, disappointment, anger. The difference is that these reactions happen privately instead of publicly, inside instead of outside. Because once a reaction becomes visible, it becomes usable. Think about how often people reveal their internal state without realizing it. They complain about how someone treated them. They describe exactly what insult offended them. They explain which behaviors make them feel disrespected. In their mind, they are sharing truth. In reality, they are publishing a manual for how to disturb their peace, and this is where most people misunderstand strength. They believe strength is louder reactions, clearer explanations, stronger emotional expression. But in strategic environments, strength is often the opposite. It is restraint. It is the ability to hear criticism without rushing to respond, to feel provocation without rushing to react, to understand that not every statement deserves a reply. Because every time you resist the urge to explain yourself, you reclaim a small piece of control. And when those moments accumulate, your presence begins to change. You speak less, but people listen more carefully. You react less, but people study your behavior more closely. You reveal less, but people assume there is more beneath the surface. And slowly, without announcing it, you become harder to influence. Once you stop reacting and stop explaining, something interesting begins to happen around you. People become uncertain, and uncertainty is one of the most powerful psychological forces in any social environment. Human beings are deeply uncomfortable with what they cannot predict. When someone's reactions are obvious, the interaction becomes easy to manage. But when your emotional signals disappear, the dynamic changes. Others begin guessing, and when people are forced to guess, they start projecting. This is the quiet advantage of becoming unreadable. Most people broadcast their internal state all the time. Their enthusiasm, their frustration, their insecurity, their need to be accepted. It leaks through tone, posture, speed of speech, even through how quickly they reply to messages. And while this may feel authentic, it also creates a predictable pattern. Once that pattern is visible, others can adjust their behavior around it. A manipulative colleague may provoke you simply to see how you react. A competitive acquaintance may test your confidence to measure how easily you fold under pressure. None of this requires conscious cruelty. It only requires curiosity. Predictability invites control. Machiavelli understood that power often belongs to the person who reveals the least about their inner calculations. Not because secrecy itself is impressive, but because ambiguity forces others to hesitate. When someone cannot easily read your intentions, they slow down. They observe more carefully. They second-guess their assumptions. And in that hesitation, influence shifts. Think about a familiar scenario. Someone makes a passive-aggressive remark directed at you in a group setting. The expected response is immediate defense. What do you mean by that? Or, that's not what happened. The moment you engage the remark emotionally, the situation becomes a small performance. The group begins watching the tension between the two of you, and suddenly the person who provoked the comment has succeeded. They have pulled you into their frame. Now, consider the disciplined response. The same remark appears. You acknowledge it briefly or not at all, then redirect the conversation. No irritation, no visible tension, just calm continuation. The group's attention shifts again, but this time the spotlight moves away from the provocation. Instead of becoming a spectacle, the comment dissolves. The person who attempted the jab receives nothing in return, and without feedback, their move loses energy. Silence in this context is not passivity, it is strategic refusal. When you refuse to react to every stimulus, you begin controlling the tempo of interaction. Most social conflicts escalate because both sides keep feeding emotional fuel into the exchange. One person pushes, the other responds. The cycle continues. But when one side stops supplying that energy, the pattern collapses. The absence of reaction forces the other person to either escalate awkwardly or withdraw entirely. This is also why composure creates an aura people often mistake for authority. Authority is not always about dominance or loud confidence. Often it is about stability. When someone appears emotionally stable regardless of pressure, others subconsciously assign them higher status, not because they said something impressive, but because the reactions suggest internal control. And control is contagious. People trust those who appear difficult to destabilize, but becoming unreadable does not mean becoming distant or robotic. It means choosing carefully what deserves expression and what does not. It means allowing yourself to listen more than you speak, observe more than you react, and reveal less than you understand. Over time, this creates a reputation that travels ahead of you. Others begin describing you in similar ways: calm, hard to provoke, difficult to interpret. And once that perception forms, the environment around you begins adjusting automatically, because people instinctively respect what they cannot easily manipulate. But even if you master silence, composure, and emotional discipline, one final vulnerability remains. And it is the one that quietly sabotages most people, no matter how strong they appear on the surface: emotional dependency, the need to be valued by others in order to feel whole. This need hides behind many respectable words: love, belonging, connection. But when examined closely, it often reveals something far less stable: a reliance on external reactions to determine internal worth. Look carefully at how most people build their identity. They measure themselves through feedback. Compliments strengthen them. Criticism weakens them. Attention energizes them. Absence unsettles them. Their emotional stability rises and falls according to how others respond to them. And because of that, the people around them hold invisible authority over their inner world. Machiavelli understood that anyone who depends on approval cannot remain independent for long. The moment your sense of value requires someone else's validation, your behavior begins adjusting to protect that source. You become more agreeable than honest, more accommodating than strategic. You begin avoiding conflict, not because conflict is wrong, but because rejection threatens the emotional structure holding you together. That is not connection, that is dependency. And dependency is the most reliable mechanism of control in human relationships. When someone senses that their presence, attention, or affection is necessary for your emotional balance, they gain influence over you. Sometimes they will use that influence deliberately. Other times it happens unconsciously, but the effect remains the same. Your decisions begin orbiting around the preservation of that relationship. This is why emotional independence is not about rejecting people. It is about changing the source of your stability. Instead of building your identity around how you are perceived, you build it around standards you control: your discipline, your values, your ability to remain consistent whether people praise you or ignore you. Imagine two different reactions to the same moment. Someone you care about suddenly withdraws their attention. The first response is familiar. You replay conversations, analyze your behavior, search for reassurance. You send messages trying to restore the connection. Each action reveals the same thing: their reaction has become the center of your emotional gravity. Now consider the second response. The same distance appears, but your internal balance does not shift. You notice the change, but you do not chase clarity or validation. You continue your routines, your priorities, your direction. If the connection returns, you evaluate it calmly. If it disappears, your identity remains untouched. This difference is subtle from the outside, but enormous internally. In the first case, your peace is outsourced. In the second, it is self-contained. And when peace becomes self-contained, something remarkable happens. People stop feeling responsible for your emotional stability. Their approval stops functioning as currency. Their absence stops functioning as punishment. You begin interacting with others by choice rather than necessity. This is the final stage of becoming unaffected. Not the absence of emotion, but the absence of emotional dependency. You can appreciate affection without needing it. You can receive praise without chasing it. You can experience rejection without collapsing under it. Because the center of your identity is no longer located in other people's reactions. It is located within your own command. Now you see the truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. The world does not gain power over you through force. It gains power through reaction. Think about the moments that usually pull you in. Someone challenges your reputation in front of others. Someone twists your words. Someone withdraws their attention, and suddenly you feel the urge to fix it, to explain what you meant, to prove you are right, to correct the way they see you. Inside, the pressure rises. Your mind begins building arguments. Your instincts tell you to restore control immediately. But the moment you rush to defend yourself, something subtle happens. The frame shifts. You are no longer leading the interaction. You are responding to it. Now, imagine the other path. You feel the same impulse, but you hold it. You remain calm. You say less, sometimes nothing at all. And something interesting begins to happen. People reveal themselves. Some grow louder, some grow uneasy, some retreat completely. Without your reaction to stabilize them, their motives become visible. This is where the shift occurs, not from weakness to aggression, but from impulse to discipline, from emotional noise to controlled perception. You stop trying to manage how people see you. You start managing yourself. That is self-command. If this truth resonated with you, subscribe and leave a comment below with 2 words, silent strength. Because once you truly understand the power of restraint, you stop fighting the noise of the world. And the world quietly loses its ability to move you.